Hello Nathalie, thank you very much for being with us today and welcome to Tonalités de Femmes. So first of all, tell us everything about your favorite music artist.
That's a question. I've worked all my life surrounded by music, but a quick answer when you say artist, music, and I think dance, then that would have to be Michael Jackson. And he's also fresh in my mind because it's not so long ago that he died, and that was very sad. I remember I stopped and saw in the newspaper a photo, and Wacko Jacko is dead, and I was like, oh, this is another one of those funny tricks, leave the poor man alone. Called my husband, and he said, no, Natalie, I'm looking in the paper, it's true. And I can say that I was really, really sad. I thought, this is a person I'm going to miss in the news, in his craziness, all the things that have been said about him. But to me, it was never, in the last period, said enough what an incredible artist he was. I mean, this man was a performer. He could dance in his style like no one else has ever danced, and no one else will ever dance. And a music maker, an incredible talent.
Nathalie, from the age of 18 until 42, you have been dancing for the Dutch National Ballet. Please, could you tell us how daily life of a professional dancer is?
Daily life, gosh, it can be very long, very tiring. Having said that, it's what you have done since you were very young. It's what you wake up to do. And like I've often said, you don't wake up to go to work, you wake up to go dance and rehearse. It's not a job. The day starts with a class. That's every morning of your life, except on a free day, obviously. And even then, you may go take class because it's difficult to take a free day. You feel like you may, miss out on something, or your body might weaken, or you're not preparing yourself properly for the performance that's coming up. And then you have a series of rehearsals, depending on the program and depending at what stage in your career you are. The corps de ballet would very often have rehearsals back to back until 6 o'clock, whereas a soloist would have perhaps more breaks, less rehearsals, but the intensity of your rehearsal is very, very exists. And then the day continues till 6 o'clock or 4 o'clock if you have a performance, in which case you have 4 hours. The first 2 of those 4 hours would be to rest and think of your performance. And then the other 2 would be preparing. And by then you are warming up and performing and leaving the stage very often at 10:30, 11:30, depending on the length of the performance.
And you were the principal dancer of the company. Did this position still give you a buzz on the stage? What were your main artistic challenges while dancing in Twilight or Sleeping Beauty?
I think whenever you were on stage, regardless of the piece that you were dancing, there was always a challenge. And regarding, was there still a buzz when you're as a first soloist on stage? I think it is impossible to be on stage without having a buzz, even if you were to perform every day, twice a day. It is about being on stage. It's where you want to be. It's what all the work you do is geared toward presenting it on stage. That buzz is always there. I mean, you hear the music, you hear the orchestra warming up. It's like that buzz just is there. And I would say if that buzz is no longer there, you must stop dancing. It would be a real shame to just step on stage and not feel the difference between the stage and having a cup of coffee in the morning at breakfast. It's what you dance for. And the challenges, for instance, in Twilight, that would be interesting because Twilight had been made by Hans van Manen on Alexandra Radius and her partner Han Ebelar, a very, very famous Dutch dance couple. And no one had ever danced it except those two. And all of a sudden I saw my name on a cast list and with Vim books, and I thought, oh my heavens, how will it be possible to step in her shoes? But, well, you know, weeks and weeks of rehearsals. It was a huge honor and a huge challenge, and I remember that it went very well and that Lex was very pleased, and I thought, well, if she herself can congratulate me, then I thought I must have done something right. And as for Sleeping Beauty, it's a well-known full-length ballet that is probably technically and physically one of the most difficult for the ballerina. Very long evening, very difficult variations, and there is the very famous Rosadagio where you must balance on your point. Drum rolls, you're dancing with 4 different princes. I remember when I was casted for Sleeping Beauty, unlike perhaps other dancers, the first thing I did was go speak to the director, and I said, thank you very much, really, I'd be thrilled, but no thank you, I don't want to do it. I thought I will never meet the challenge, and he was very good. He said, you cannot think like this, you must at least rehearse for 2 weeks, give it a try, and then we'll talk. And I started rehearsing with a wonderful ballet mistress, and indeed after 2 weeks I thought, I must give this a try. It's something to work for, and I carried on to do many Sleeping Beauties, and yeah, it became one of my favorite challenges.
Nathalie, you left home at 10 to join the National Ballet School of Toronto. Coincidentally, your daughter is also 10. As a parent, would you follow her passion in the same way as your career began?
Gosh, quite right, she is 10, and I have to say, throughout this year, she's going to be 11 in August, I was very often reminded of the fact that I was 10 when I left home, because there I had the comparison right in front of me. And honestly, if Julia had this passion, I can say that no, I couldn't let her leave home, but I would do everything in my powers to give her, you know, offer her that passion, but nearer to me, because I know that I would fall apart. I really would miss her so dreadfully. But that doesn't mean to say that I would want to kill any of her passions. You know, absolutely not. However, what my parents did for me, I am forever thankful, because otherwise I would never have become a dancer. And I think those times, you know, this happened many years ago, and it was different at that time. My mother was a child of a very, very large family. She herself had gone to a private convent where she was young, left home, slept away from her parents. She was the oldest of 12. Another 9 children followed, you know, going to private schools. And so for her it was quite normal, and I'm not saying she wouldn't have missed me. And in fact, after I'd been there a year, she said, please come back. This is, you know, I've made a terrible mistake. It's dreadful. I miss you. And then I said, but I can't come back because I love it more than I did when I arrived. And so it was, it just carried on. But honestly, my mother's asked me herself, and perhaps feeling a little guilty, would you send Julia? And I said no, I couldn't. But it's no, I'm not judging my mother. I'm thanking my mother that she had the strength and to let me go and to live a passion, which she had and was never brought to an end, and that was she wanted to become a concert pianist. It didn't happen. So I think she also was very aware of that and thought, I will not make that mistake for my daughter, at least give her the chance.
Nathalie, I know that you have been living with your partner for the past 28 years. What is your key word to a long relationship?
Love.
Thank you a lot, Nathalie. All the best to you.
Thank you.